Guys, welcome back. I missed you, but let's start with the apartment tour. The first apartment is located in Olympic Park in this really beautiful neighborhood. So when you first walk in, you have the stairs on the right side, and then you see the kitchen and the living room on the left side with this big kitchen counter and a lot of windows, which is pretty cool because that way you get a lot of natural light in. The rent for this apartment is $410 including the bills per week, and it's a 4-bedroom apartment. What I liked about this apartment is that it was located in a really modern and safe neighborhood. There was a grocery store nearby and it came furnished, which is good for me because I move around a lot, so sometimes I can't stay that long, and then it's just easier to have a furnished room and not having to buy everything again. So what you see here is the view from the first floor. When you walk up the stairs, this is the second floor, and the second floor is just the terrace. And I believe it was the 17th floor. It was really high up. Okay, now let me show you the bedroom. This bedroom came furnished. We have a bed, a nightstand, and even a TV, but I don't really watch TV, so I wouldn't use it. And then we also have a big closet and a balcony right next to the room, which is pretty cool. Overall, this apartment was amazing. The only thing that worried me was that I didn't get to meet the roommates. For me, it is really important to know the people I live with and to get along with them because I made some pretty bad experiences in the past and I didn't want to have that again. But nonetheless, it was a really great place. Okay, next up we have a 6-bedroom apartment located in Campsie. Since this was actually the first apartment I viewed, I didn't really know what I was looking for. I just went by the photos and thought they looked really nice. That day was so chaotic in general. We were running a tiny bit late, and when I called the agent to inform her, she said that she wasn't gonna make it at all and that we should FaceTime instead. So yeah, I ended up FaceTiming the agent the entire time, and my boyfriend filmed everything, so shout out to him for doing a great job. The first room was the smaller bedroom. It cost $210 per week including the bills. Okay, let's start with the pros of this apartment. Of course, it was super affordable. The small room was $210 and the bigger room that I was actually more interested in was $280 per week including the bills. The location wasn't bad. Campsie is not too far from the city and it came furnished. Cons, again, I didn't get to meet the roommates, and with 5 other roommates, it might feel a bit anonymous and more like a hostel than an actual apartment, especially with the amount of roommates. There was also no grocery store nearby, and the biggest con for me personally, asbestos. I never heard of asbestos before I came here, actually before I got to this apartment. It is this toxic material that the old Australian houses were built with. One crack and you have all that toxic material in the air and you can breathe it in, and it can cause a lot of health issues. So when I saw that crack in the wall, I freaked out. Of course not externally where I started screaming and running out of the house, but internally I definitely felt nervous and really unsafe about that, so it was definitely a deal breaker for me. Yeah, so overall it was affordable but not worth my health and my life. Alright, next up is Canterbury. I hope I pronounced it correctly. This was a bit of an older neighborhood, but the apartment itself was really new. There was just one guy living in, so it would just be one roommate. The rent was $370 including the bills per week. The interior design was kept really simple and minimalistic, which I liked. There was a grocery store nearby, which was good. The problem here, the kitchen was a bit small for filming videos, especially cooking videos. But anyway, let me show you the rooftop. I don't know which floor this was. It was really high up again. I could even see the city and the skyline from there. Okay, on to the most important room. Actually not really, but the bedroom. You have a carpet laid out, and then you have the bathroom right next to your bedroom, which I think is really cool because it's such an uncommon thing in Germany, so that makes it kind of special for me. Yeah, I gotta say the best thing about this apartment was actually the roommate. I was really glad that I got to know him. He was also the landlord and he was just a really nice person. But the search is not over yet. think as an Australian, you might be familiar with this area. For me, it was the first time at Wentworth Point and I was just blown away. I mean, look at this view. This was the 25th floor. The apartment came unfurnished. The rent is $370, not including the bills, per week. Location, no words needed, and there's a grocery store nearby. And it's good that I got to meet the roommates. I think we got along really well, especially by bonding over matcha. When I saw the matcha kit, I was like, oh my god, we're gonna be besties. You might not see this as an issue, but the apartment wouldn't be available until 1 month later, which is a long time for me since I only intended on staying for a few months. So let's see what happens, but for now, let's move on. We are now in Blacktown, a black one. Here in this really quiet and peaceful neighborhood is located this big, massive, modern building. Inside is a studio that we're gonna look at, and there's 10 other studios in this building. What you see here is the kitchen that is in the common area, and it's shared by all 10 units. It was massive. It was so clean. I was actually surprised how clean it was, not gonna lie. And the reason there is a common kitchen is because the studio itself doesn't have like a fully functioning kitchen. There's a kitchen counter but no stove or oven. And keep in mind, it looks a bit bigger than it actually was because I was using the wide angle lens on my phone. Nonetheless, it was a really nice and modern room, which I really liked. The rent is $380 including the bills. It comes furnished, you have no roommates, you have your own place, it's modern. The only problem was, again, that there was no grocery store nearby. I should have checked before, but at the same time, I'd be able to compromise if it happened to be the perfect place. But in that case, it was definitely a deal breaker because having a grocery store nearby was one of my key requirements. But here you can see the bathroom. That was actually really spacious and really nice. Definitely a plus, but the bathroom was never a priority for me and I wouldn't mind sharing it with other people, whereas sharing the kitchen with 10 other people could have been a problem. Okay, we are back in Olympic Park. I don't know, I feel like I ended up at the same spots every time. I really liked the neighborhood. Olympic Park was really nice. However, with this apartment, it wasn't a great fit for my circumstances and there were more no's than yeses, so I ended up not filming a lot. There was also just too much personal stuff from the previous tenant laying around, so I just ended up filming the views. So let's move on to the next one, which is... where was it? Homebush. Although Homebush looked a bit more like an older area, the apartments and units that I saw were really nice and modern. There were a lot of tall buildings, but I think they were all at the same spot. The public transport was nearby, as well as a grocery store. So this was a 3-bedroom apartment and I came to look at 2 of the rooms. There was this bigger one that you're seeing right now with your own bathroom for $410, not including the bills, per week. So that was a bit over my budget, but I was actually more interested in the smaller rooms since it was $290, not including the bills, per week. But the only problem was that somebody was already in the process of securing it. The landlord didn't inform me before, and it ended up being a bit too small anyways. It was pretty much the choice between having a really big, spacious room and paying a lot, or having a really tiny room. I ended up not filming it. Only thing that would fit in it was the single bed, and there was already like a really small closet, and that was it. I don't think anything else would fit in it. Both of them were not like the right fit. Something in the middle would have been good. And don't be confused about all these things laying around. That was from the tenant who was moving out, so all her stuff was kind of everywhere. What I really liked about the apartment was that it had a gym. The location was pretty good. It was near the train station and the landlord was really nice and helpful. But I didn't get to know the actual roommates, just the girl who's moving out. So that was a bit of a deal breaker for me. Alright guys, I just wanted to inform you that I have chosen an apartment and the apartment reveal will be in the next video. And then there's going to be videos about the move, buying, maybe furniture or maybe other things. Yeah, stay tuned and I will see you in the next video. Bye!